Hey guys, this is Kelly. I am going to do a run through of my 2014 album, but I wanted to show you a couple things first. This is the first album that I have ever completed from the beginning to the end, and that is huge for me, and let me show you why. This is my very first attempt of the December Daily, and this was of course, inspired by Ali Edwards, and when she had different type of pages, and let's see, she made pages herself and lots of little envelopes and things. Well, you can see just how far I got through. There's a couple of things in here, like this is for greeting cards, but there's nothing to say really what it is. And this was like a sweet card that I got from my parents that I wanted to put with the kids. A half completed page, a page with a number on it. I do have our Christmas card. Here's at least a completed page, the ones with ornaments and my little journaling about it, but you can see how bad this album is. I mean, it's just downright pitiful. And so I knew that year that I loved the concept, but I wasn't quite sure how it was going to work. And I couldn't do all of the pre-planning the pages and all of that, so I wasn't sure what I was going to do. So the next year comes the Canvas album that everybody was doing, and I was determined that this was going to be a better year. And this is definitely much improved. I used a bunch of her templates, and some of my stash. I tried to keep pages simple, like this is just pattern paper. Again, there's still stuff in the album that I haven't really completed. Let me get to that little spot. Well, I guess this does look better, but the thing is there's still missing pages, and it's not quite finished. Like I said, there's not one that's completely finished. Like this goes from 14 to 17. So there's nothing in between, which is not a big deal. It's just not finished. And here's my little recipe card for this, but you can see this back page isn't finished. And, I'm quickly going through just so you can see how things it's just not complete. So this is better, but it's just not there. So we'll go back to 2010. Everybody was starting to add Starbucks. Again, like the pictures and the transparencies in between, and then the pocket pages started. And so you can see that my album did take a different twist. And again, this is at least better, but there are pages of it that just aren't finished. This isn't in. I think this printed at the wrong size and was a little bit too big for the page, so I wasn't sure if I could trim it down because it has that red border. Here's another page that's not in. So you can see that completing the December albums just really has not been in my cards for these 3 years. Oh no. Well, we'll have to fix that. 2011 is better, and this album is primarily done. There's a couple pages that are missing, and I don't have a cover page, but what I'm very hesitant about, it is very thick, and I don't want, when I finish it, to make it any thicker. And what I might do is take out some of the transparency pages, just to try to diminish some of the thickness. And I'll tell you why I figured out that most of my embellishment came down at the bottom, because I was using, Ali's templates again, and I just naturally went for that area to embellish my pages. And it wasn't intentional. See, here's an unfinished page. But you know, it just the way it landed. And so I wasn't happy with that. So, you know, I might take out a few of the pages when I finish it. See, like here you can see this isn't finished, that's not finished. You know, I'm not sure even if I have pictures to finish these 4. My point is, it took me a lot of years to figure out what I was doing right and what I was not doing right to be able to get to the point. This album, I'm not finished either. This is the Studio Calico kit, and I will tell you, I hate this size of album. I ended up copying a lot of Maggie Holmes pages I had taken the class. Like this, I'm sure was directly lifted from her. And while it's okay, it's an awful size. It's just too small for what I would like to do. And there are still a couple of pages that I need to finish in here, but it's not as bad. I could set this out and at least it looks like a pretty finished book, you know, but there's still a couple of things. But this size, I learned, was just not my thing. So I only have a couple more to just quickly show you before I go into why I think this past year's worked. So this one is 2013, and again, I'd lifted quite a few. This was like very similar to Maggie's cover page, so I don't want anybody to think that I'm claiming this as my own. And this was a direct lift from Maggie Holmes. So what I did is the things that I liked, I tried to lift. Like this was something that she did, so I liked it, so I lifted. This was something that another Studio Calico member did. I liked it, I lifted it. But it just didn't see, it's still missing a couple of pages, but it just wasn't exactly, see, like we're missing number 13 here. But it just wasn't exactly me. So I've struggled trying to finish it. So this year I decided, or last year, 2014, I decided that I was going to do it myself, and I was not going to get a kit, and I really wasn't going to pay attention to what other people were doing. I might look at some videos to get inspired to work on it, but I was not going to be scrap lifting anybody's pages, and I was just going to try to see what I could get done. So here was my cover page, and I just had a sheet with these Santas on it. It was a cut apart sheet, and this piece of paper has probably been in my stash for 5, 6, if not 7 years. And I decided to cut him up, and he's the one thing that will go through this book pretty frequently. And I decided to use the Simple Story album because it had the variety of page protectors. And I did my pages mostly as we went along. Like for this day, this picture wasn't even on the 1st, it was the day before. But, you know, I wasn't hard, steadfast. If it did not happen on December 1st, it couldn't be. It was more along the lines of 25 memories versus everything on the 25 days. So I also printed pictures at home with my selfie, and I think that was another thing that enabled me to be more successful. I used a lot of things from my stash. You know, I had doilies in my stash, I had washi in my stash, I had this bow die, my wood veneers, my silver. All of this was from my stash. These cards I had bought from Pretty Little Studio, I think it was, years ago, and hadn't used. So I tried to have what I call filler pages. And this is a filler page right here, a filler page idea. I listed some things that I knew that I wanted to document, but I did not have set dates where they needed to go. So like this is of the tree skirt. This was a brand new tree skirt that I had purchased for Air Front Room Tree. And on December 3rd, there really wasn't anything else going on. So I knew that, and as well as December 2nd. So I cut the 4x4 into 2 and just made it a small page. So that's great. 2 more memories. One of my kitty who likes to chew on bubble wrap, and the new tree skirt. So perfect. It was documented. This is great. This was a Studio Calico card from the kit that I had from either 2013, I think it was. And I just pulled that and backed it with a piece of pattern paper. And again, was able to print pictures right at home. And this was part from the cut apart sheet. So, you know, again, just an easy little card to put in. I tried to keep the colors fairly neutral and the same across the 2 pages. So you'll see the red, the green, maybe a little black for his tux, and the gold. I had a couple of pictures, and I knew that this was on a Saturday, the 6th, and I already had in mind that she was going to have this big picture as part of what she was doing. And so in my head, I already knew, okay, well, Saturday is the 6th. I want one big picture, so I'm going to have to work out something for Sunday, which for me, when I'm planning, as the month went by, that was just easier for me to do versus already have these pages made up and having to struggle to figure out what should go where. Again, the cut apart Santa, wood veneer from my stash, gold washi that I already had, this flare I had, and I'm not sure where he's from. And, you know, like just using little bits that I already had. This was from a cut apart sheet, and I think that it was Simple Stories, but I'm not 100% sure on that. And this was from the Studio Calico kit, as well as this tag. So my son had a concert with his symphony, and instead of taking the usual picture, they were dark. It was just not the greatest inside. I took a picture of the concert. Oh, I don't know. You know, the things that they give you when you walk into your seat. I'm having just a moment. Forgive me. I'll go on. So this is a picture of the Carpenter Theater where he actually performed, and I just thought that was gorgeous and was luckily able to get it without people in the shot. And I just thought that was a different way to remember where he performed, you know, especially since a couple of shots back I had one of him performing at school. Again, Santa is making his appearance, and that was a cut apart. And the main thing that I did was I used pre-cut tags or labels throughout, and just it was nice to have a bunch that were already cut so that I could just, you know, go for them and label it or put my numbers on it. And that worked well for me. And I also had a bunch of snowflakes that I had either cut with a punch or with my silhouette, just in a bowl ready to go, so that when it came time for me to do my pages, I just picked out what I wanted and I went with it. Again, the colors are trying to go between one page to the other, and it's just the white, golds, and reds. And I tried to keep it just as simple as I possibly could. These 2 pages are probably some of my favorite just because of my new nativity, my crush. I found this at a bazaar, and this was not the day that I bought it. Again, a filler story. So I just had it, you know, set aside a sheet of paper with what I wanted my filler stories to be, and I just worked them in as they fit into the album. And again, I just kept this simple. This one's just gold with little hints of red, and I used the same numbers just to bring a little continuity to the page, and used a little bit of red stickle on this Teresa Collins sheet just to pop it up a little bit, and that's pretty much it. This card was from the Studio Calico kit in the previous year. So this, again, Santa from the cut apart sheet, and old brads, old buttons. I can't even tell you where I got those. Same with the flare. This is just, you know, stuff that I've had in my stash and just has sat there and was just begging for me to be, you know, for me to use it. Now this, I did one of these pages. I love these little coin pages and seeing what everybody has done with them. And this was my take on it. Many people have done the letters and probably the same word. This little guy was actually from this tag that I found at Target. And I just used 3 little things for my pops of red and tried to keep everything else neutral. And these were just basic gold sequins, Studio Calico wood veneer, Studio Calico wood veneer, more gold sequins, and this word is from Teresa Collins as well as this one. So I did find that when I glued the wood veneer, I hadn't seen anybody else have issues with this, but oh my goodness, I like tried gluing it with my quick dry adhesive with glossy accents, and it just kept on popping up. And good old ATG gun was what held that the best. So I just cut a piece of transparency a little bit smaller than these pockets, and that's how I'm keeping them in. And then I just sewed these pockets shut. So here's another simple page. This is another filler page. This is just my front room tree. It could go anywhere in the album that it needed to go. And I just used a couple of pieces of paper, a label, part of a doily, and I think this was a 2-piece flare, and some washi tape that I had from one of the Studio Calico kits, and that was all I did. Keeping pages this simple really helped me, and keeping color schemes very simple helped me as well. What I did to help with that is I had a pile of 6x6 little paper pads, and I think this one was from a basic gray. So I pulled the colors that I was going to use on these 2 pages from this one sheet right here, the green and the red. So this was also, I believe, in that paper pad, and this green back here I don't think was, but it went perfectly with the paper. So it made it so much easier to make these pages and quicker. So here's another one of those Santas, and if I could remember the sheet, I would tell you, but it's a cheaper brand that I'm not even sure. Like I said, it was in my stash for a long time. And to make these pages connect, I brought this paper over behind this doily, and I just went ahead and cut out a tag with one of my dies and journaled about the day on here. And this was a wood veneer from Michaels, and I used that Martha Stewart gilded paint to paint that. So here we have more filler pages. And when I say filler pages, it's not because I just want to throw in something. It's something that may have a story or something that might be new that I do want to document. It just doesn't have to be on a certain day. Like this ceramic tree. I have loved these. I grew up seeing them, and my mother-in-law had it. And when she died, I actually received this. And, you know, I just talk a little bit about how I treasure this. It didn't have anything to do with being the 14th. And again, for this, I tried to keep the colors very much the same, the blues and the greens. And I knew that, like, with one of these pages, it was with both actually, that I didn't have a whole lot to say. So again, I cut this so that I could take care of both of these pages at the same time. This card is from an old Studio Calico kit, and this was a stamp, and I think it is Alison Kreft, but I'm not 100% sure. And I used some of the same numbers throughout. This was from a Studio Calico, and I just embossed them gold. These letter stickers are recollections. And, you know, I just tried to keep some of the things the same. The gold stars here, and I brought one over here. So using the same colors help make the pages just go much quicker. So because you could see part of this, I wanted to keep these colors, at least on this part, a little bit the same. I knew that I wanted to include the card and just journal a little bit about when I did the card. And I've covered up my address here. And this is the picture of when I actually sat and addressed the cards. So this did happen on this day, but you see, it didn't have to, you know, it still could have been moved on a different day because it's just a memory that I want to document. You know, how nice is it to address your cards, you know, in front of a tree and a fire. Okay, another filler and another filler. I took a picture of my kitty beside my little poinsettia and just thought it was a sweet picture and knew that I just wanted it somewhere in the album. And the same with the Christmas cards. So what I have done with this is I've actually put in our Christmas cards from that year, and just went ahead and tied it up, and it makes it so much nicer. And if I want to go ahead and make a page with them, I know exactly where they are, and I can always scan them and make a page. And I tried to keep the colors very similar. Brought the red over, the gold over, and then used a little bit of black to bring it off the craft. This list is a printable that I found on Pinterest, and I just, for this day, made a list of what things, how the family had on their wish list, and that was as simple as that. Page done. This page, I used another one of the snowmen, and again, this is just a memory that I wanted to document about telling the story about why we have these snowmen. And shoot, sorry, hold on. Sorry about that. I thought I had disabled the phone. So what I was saying is, you know, again, this was a filler page. It was just me wanting to document the story about how we started the collection, and that the collection's not complete, but and most likely won't be complete because these little guys are running on eBay for like $50, and I can't do that. So this day was actually when they went to see Santa, so I knew that I wanted a big page for this. And, you know, again, I knew this was like a filler page, so it's just me trying to fit things in. And with the excuse me, with these, I actually had these letters, and I did what Nicole Jones does, and I went ahead and tried to see all of the words that I could make with these letters that I had left. And wrap was one of them. So I literally did this card around these letters because I wanted to be able to use them. And they are like that with, let me see, I was able to do it with this, with the knight, and there's, I think, one other one. So it was just a way of trying to use up the last little bits of those. And it was such a good idea that I certainly stole it from Nicole. So again, just trying to keep it simple. I did sew down these letters because I did not want them popping off, and you know that thickers are notorious for not sticking. And again, one of these quick labels to put my numbers on or to journal on, and I used little letter stickers to, you know, mention how my kitty was helping wrapping, and just keeping it simple. This was a cookies that I did make on the 23rd, and I knew that I wanted to put this in because for me, growing up and every Christmas that I've been married, I've had to bake these, and it's just not Christmas if we don't have these cookies in the house. And I usually will make a new recipe each year, and this year it was it was a Christmas Eve, and so this I had my son help take a picture of me with making fudge. It was a new recipe for fudge, and again you can see that my colors are not necessarily from the same 6x6 pad, but they're the same colors, the reds, mostly the paler greens, and a little bit of the darker green. And even though this isn't the same Santa, it's a Santa that is, you know, gone throughout the book. This is definitely my favorite page, and I was able to get this of my daughter at church and with the candlelight service. And I didn't think this needed any journaling, and I wanted the colors to stay soft and just very reverent for the moment, and no question, my favorite. So I decided to take this 25 that I had left over from last year's kit and make it the title page going into the 25th. And I used a card that I had from a previous year, a picture of my kids as I torture them. I have to get pictures of them in their jammies on the steps, and you know, while we wait to make sure Santa really did come. And this year was hopefully a new tradition. I cooked breakfast, and my brother and his wife and kids came over after they woke up and had Santa, and it was just nice. So I just took a picture of the place setting, and then I took pictures of my niece and nephew and documented their ages, and the cousin picture. And I had to laugh because leave it to the girls to be being silly and the boys to being cute. That would be our daughters for sure. And again, just tried to keep the colors pretty simple throughout. The Christmas was a die that I cut out of the gold paper, and I just used some washi tape, same kind of colors throughout, added some enamel dots, and that was pretty much it. And then a family picture, and this was one of the cut apart sheets and an enamel dot. As you can see, this isn't huge amounts of embellishment. It's a lot of little layers tucked behind. And what made me successful was having my selfie, which I could print off the pictures. That was huge. And then the other thing is that I had a desk that I was able to keep set up with anything that I wanted to possibly add in my December daily out and ready. And what I think I will do is in another video, maybe in a week or two, show you how I set up my desk and then my plans for finishing the rest of the December dailies that I have. Well, I hope this helped inspire you to finish your December daily if you haven't. And thanks so much for taking time to take a look at my videos. See you later. Bye.